Have you ever entered a space and felt completely invisible? It's not about some deep philosophical notion of our existence as mere specks in an endless void. It's more about the stark reality of being there, fully formed and alive, yet somehow invisible to those around you. Indeed, that occurred today. Jerome Wilson, 47, was a man of remarkable success, yet in this moment he felt completely unseen. Interestingly, this wasn't merely a hotel. It was one of the shining gems of a hospitality empire he constructed from the very foundation. One of those luxurious establishments that makes you feel like royalty, where a single night's stay costs more than what some people pay for rent. And yet, here he stood at the front desk, awaiting recognition like an unwelcome stray that had drifted in from the street. This was not an arbitrary encounter. Jerome found himself inundated with complaints, not merely one or two, but a continuous flow, all directed at this specific hotel. Guests felt like they were being treated as second-class citizens. Staff exhibited an attitude problem, and certain customers discovered that rooms were mysteriously unavailable. He might have approached it in the typical manner, reached out to the manager, arranged for an internal audit, tossed around some business terminology, and wished for a resolution to emerge on its own. Yet Jerome was aware of the truth. Challenges such as this, they weren't able to mend their ways, they required revelation. He arrived unexpectedly without a suit, a limo, or any entourage, just an ordinary guy looking to settle in for the night, and that was the moment he experienced the exceptional service of his own company up close. The front desk was attended by a young woman named Kim, a blonde in her 20s, whose body language unmistakably conveyed a message of indifference, as if to say, "I do not get paid enough to care about your existence." She reclined, phone in, hand either texting, scrolling, or engaging in whatever activity it was that allowed her to sidestep eye contact. Jerome paused, clearing his throat. Silence. Knocked on the desk. Nothing yet. Very well. Excuse me. Kim released an exasperated sigh, the sort reserved for those who have the audacity to interrupt your precious moments of complete idleness. At long last, she lifted her gaze to meet his, blinking as if he had suddenly appeared from nowhere. Indeed, that was the end. Not a warm reception at our hotel, not an offer of assistance, just, indeed, as if he were a bother. Jerome maintained a steady tone. I possess a reservation. Jerome Wilson. Kim struggled to hide a grin as she faced her computer and began typing with the energy of a tranquilized sloth. Indeed, indeed. Nope, I can't find it. Jerome raised an eyebrow. Are you certain about that? I'm quite certain. She barely acknowledged it, returning to her phone as if that was the final word on the matter. At that moment, realization dawned upon him. This was not an error. This was not a malfunction of the system. This was intentional. She cast a glance in his direction and concluded, no, he's not worth my time. Jerome let out a soft sigh, maintaining a calm facade. Understood. Please verify once more. Kim sighed dramatically, yet indulged him, her fingers dancing idly over the keyboard. Negative. Nothing yet. I apologize. Her tone lacked any semblance of remorse. Her voice carried a sense of disinterest. Jerome quietly retrieved his phone, navigating through to find his confirmation email. My reservation is right here. He raised it high. Kim hardly gave it a second look. Indeed, the system reveals the truth. My email isn't working either. A dramatic exhale escapes my lips. Sir, it seems there might have been an error on your part. Such occurrences are part of life. Perhaps you selected the incorrect venue. It occurs frequently. Oh, Jerome inclined his head. Are you suggesting that I'm adrift? Kim offered him that patronizing little smirk, the kind people wear when they believe they're addressing a fool. It's a simple error to commit. Jerome tightened his jaw, taking a deep breath. And if I hadn't been lost, if my reservation had been here all along, she shrugged. It seems the system encountered a glitch. Jerome was well acquainted with this system. It functioned smoothly. Individuals did. There was something in the way she avoided his gaze, the way she declined to verify, the way she brushed him off with such effortless ease. He had encountered this previously. This was not merely a malfunction. This focused on him. In just 5 fleeting seconds, she concluded that he was out of place, unworthy of attentive service and certainly not deserving of a second glance. Jerome had experienced this situation previously. The unspoken guidelines of customer service, where the errors of some individuals are rectified, while those of others are conveniently overlooked. Typically, he allowed this sort of matter to pass without much thought. Select your conflicts wisely, wouldn't you agree? However, what about today? Oh, today felt unique. Jerome retrieved his secondary phone, the device that granted him complete access to the internal system. He entered his credentials with a few swift keystrokes, and indeed his reservation was secured and confirmed. Driven by curiosity, he decided to check the activity log and found that the reservation had been manually deleted, with Kim, the front desk clerk, listed as the one who removed it. Exactly. Jerome looked at her name tag, holding back a smile. Kim, this is going to be quite enjoyable. He took a deep breath, managing to put on a smile. Share something with me, Kim. She softly hummed, fingers dancing across her phone once more. What occurs when you remove a reservation? She hardly glanced up. It simply eliminates it from the system. It's nothing to worry about. Jerome gave a slight nod. And who possesses the capability to accomplish that? Kim gave a slight shrug. Clearly just the front desk staff like you. She blinked slowly. Indeed, yes. What is the reason? Jerome gave his screen a final tap, accessed the log and flipped the phone around. Her gaze darted to the screen. For the first time tonight, she appeared genuinely anxious as her name stood prominently beside the deletion. Kim swallowed hard, her face paling slightly. Jerome leaned in a bit, his voice dropping to a softer tone. So, Kim, can you explain why my reservation was deleted? Her lips parted and shut, yet silence lingered in the air. For the first time all night, she appeared, utterly at a loss for words. Jerome wore a sly grin. Oh, this was set to be an unforgettable evening. Jerome had encountered plenty of nonsense in his life, but this was an entirely different realm. He stood there, observing Kim, as she attempted to mask the fact that she was completely overwhelmed. In all honesty, he nearly felt a twinge of sympathy for her. Nearly. But no, she had created this situation herself, and now she would have to face the consequences. She continued to blink at the screen, her fingers fidgeting as if she wished to reverse the digital misstep she had just made. However, this one lacked a back button. Well, to be honest, I didn't. She began to speak, but Jerome interrupted her. Don't even think about it, Kim. Her sudden flinch was unmistakable, stunning. Preserve it. She snapped her lips together with startling quickness. He nearly chuckled. He stepped back, took a deep breath, and steadied himself, for deep down, he felt the urge to unleash his frustrations. He felt the urge to share the news with everyone in the lavish lobby, but he held back, not just yet. This required a delicate touch. Instead, he rested against the counter and offered a smile. Let me outline what is about to unfold, Kim. She swallowed hard. Please find me a room, immediately. She paused, but as his gaze remained fixed on her, she hurriedly began to type. The sound of her fingers trembling against the keyboard filled the air. All right then, she murmured for him to raise his voice. I discovered a room. Naturally, you did. She snatched a key card and slid it across the counter, avoiding eye contact. Here. You are, sir, he left it untouched. Which room are we discussing? Well, 1427. He let out a sigh, realizing it was the worst room in the building. What? Kim stood still. She believed she was clever. Room 1427 was conveniently located by the elevators, adjacent to the maintenance closet, offering an impressive view of the dumpster out back. Jerome was intimately familiar with every room in this hotel. Indeed, he had crafted the floor plan all on his own. And this was a prime example of pettiness. Kim, he remarked, tilting his head. Do I seem foolish? To you? Her expression contorted. No, then why are you attempting to manipulate me? I'm not entirely sure what you just did. Utter stillness. The lobby held an unsettling stillness. At this point, other guests began to pick up on the palpable tension in the air. A few of the nearby couches cast sidelong glances, feigning indifference to the conversation unfolding nearby. A bellboy in the corner suddenly became quite engrossed in the task of adjusting his little hat. Jerome carefully lifted the key card. "Thank you, Kim." With that, he pivoted and made his way toward the elevators. Yet this was far from the end, not by a long shot. As soon as he entered his room, Jerome retrieved his laptop. This was his domain, his kingdom, and how dare someone treat him as if he were just an ordinary person? It's time to explore further. Initially, he accessed the hotel's internal records. He reviewed staff grievances, guest feedback, managerial reports, and anything associated with this location. And would you believe it? Kim's name was on everyone's lips. A front desk agent overlooked a guest's complaint and failed to document it. A guest has reported experiencing racial discrimination during the check-in process. Personnel engaged. Kim. Kim denied service to a guest citing hotel policy without offering any supporting documentation. Kim found herself entangled in various disagreements with guests due to system errors impacting their reservations. She was more than just inadequate in her role. She exhibited a deliberate and harmful intent, and yet she remained in this position. What is the reason? Jerome continued to scroll, and there it was, his answer waiting for him. The manager, Stephen Lane, a timid corporate follower who likely shunned any form of confrontation. Interpretation? Kim had been an issue for quite a while, yet no one had the courage to let her go, which left him with no choice but to handle it himself. Jerome meandered back to the lobby, savoring each moment. Kim lingered at the desk, likely believing she had narrowly escaped a close call. Incorrect. He strode past her, heading directly into the manager's office, didn't bother to knock. There was no necessity. Stephen Lane, a middle-aged man exuding a nostalgic vibe of past glories, glanced up from his desk and was instantly filled with anxiety. Mr. Wilson, what an unexpected delight. Jerome closed the door with a soft click and rested his back against it. Enough with the nonsense, Stephen. It's time for a conversation. Stephen gulped. Absolutely. What am I able to... Are you aware of the activities taking place at your front desk? Stephen's eyes fluttered momentarily. Well, I believe that all things are... That's not correct. Jerome folded his arms across his chest. My reservation was just deleted by one of your employees. Stephen's complexion drained of color. Excuse me? Who is it? Jerome smiled broadly. Take a wild guess. Stephen's mouth moved in a futile rhythm, reminiscent of a fish gasping for air. It was Kim, right? Chime, chime, chime. Stephen flinched. Listen, Mr. Wilson, I intended to manage it, I promise, but she's been... Jerome raised a hand. Be quiet, Stephen. Please be quiet. Jerome inhaled deeply, allowing the stillness to linger. For months, perhaps even years, you've received complaints about her, and you accomplished it. Silence. Stephen appeared as though he were confronting his own demise. I considered that perhaps she simply required additional training. Preparation? Preparation? Jerome chuckled heartily. Genuinely chuckled. This woman is not just a bewildered intern who has forgotten how to navigate the software. She's quite the challenge. And she's your concern. Stephen appeared as though he wished to dissolve into the ground beneath him. Jerome exhaled deeply and gave a nod of understanding. Let me lay it out for you, Stephen. What about you? You're going to step out there and you're going to let her go. At this moment. Before an audience. Stephen's jaw fell open in astonishment. At this very moment. But at this very moment, Stephen paused, uncertainty flickering in his mind. In that moment of stark realization, he conceded with a nod. Moments later, the entire lobby turned their attention as the hotel manager approached Kim and delivered the final verdict. She attempted to reason, attempted to weep, attempted to express that it was merely a miscommunication. It was of no consequence. Her backside was exposed. Jerome lingered close by, observing the entire scene with a pleased grin. As Kim marched toward the exit, casting a final scornful look back, he merely smiled. For tonight, justice was finally delivered. What's the most exciting aspect? She remained completely unaware of his true identity. Jerome observed as Kim erupted with emotion and exited the hotel in a flurry. Her expression contorted with a blend of fury and shame. And truly it was magnificent. Justice had been delivered, yet an unsettling feeling lingered, as if it fell short of true resolution. Perhaps it was the reality that she remained oblivious to the identity of the person who had just shattered her professional life. Perhaps the issue stemmed from the fact that terminating one employee didn't address the underlying problem. His motives extended beyond mere vengeance. He had arrived to restore his dominion. Stephen, appearing as though he could use a strong drink, glanced at Jerome, dabbing the sweat from his brow. "I managed it," he replied softly. Jerome wore a sly grin. "No, Stephen, I took care of it. You simply remained there, appearing quite tense." Stephen emitted a hesitant laugh as if he believed Jerome was merely teasing. He was not. "You know, I could let you go as well," Jerome said. His tone relaxed. As the hotel transformed into a customer service nightmare, Stephen felt a lump in his throat. I promise, Mr. Wilson, I will make everything right." Jerome arched an eyebrow. "That's adorable, but you won't be resolving anything, Stephen." "I shall." With that, Jerome exited the scene. The lobby had descended into an uncomfortable silence by this point. Guests were making an effort to look away, but really, how could they not? This was enjoyable entertainment at no cost. He approached the front desk with purpose, leaning over the counter to survey the clerk still on duty. "Pay attention," he instructed. "Transformations are imminent in this space, and they will happen swiftly." A young man, perhaps in his early 20s, nodded rapidly. "Indeed, sir. Are you employed by a corporation?" Jerome smiled broadly. "Perhaps something along those lines." He picked up the hotel phone and punched in a number. The connection was made. "This is Wilson," he stated. "Close this hotel for a comprehensive review. I seek to ensure that all guests receive compensation, that every complaint is thoroughly examined, and that each employee undergoes a re-evaluation. If they can't meet the standards, they're out, in effect right away." The whole team stood still. "Hold on," one of the clerks faltered. "You're—" Jerome tucked his phone away and grinned. "Indeed, I am the one and only Jerome Wilson." Quietude. A woman let out a sharp breath. The young man's eyes grew as large as dinner plates. Stephen appeared on the verge of collapsing. Jerome adjusted his jacket, relishing each moment of the experience. "Now, if you'll pardon me," he remarked, making his way to the elevator, "I have some matters to attend to." And just like that, he vanished. The moment Jerome entered the elevator, he sensed the palpable tension lingering in the lobby behind him, the impact of understanding crashing down on everyone like a freight train. He could nearly perceive their innermost musings. Oh, wow, that was the Jerome Wilson. With a sly grin, he watched the door close behind him, flawless. As he arrived at his suite, the buzzing of his phone greeted him, business-oriented, the board that oversees his operations, most likely Stephen, imploring for compassion. He dismissed them all. Allow them to feel the pressure. Allow them to ponder. Instead, he retrieved his laptop and accessed the system. "What's the first thing we need to tackle?" "Tidying up the home. Is that you, Kim?" Excluded. She was dismissed from her position. She would never set foot in any of his hotels again. "Is it Stephen?" Suspended in uncertainty. He'd have one final opportunity to demonstrate that he wasn't entirely without value. He then reviewed the guest. Complaints. A few of these individuals had experienced a lack of respect, overlooked, completely wronged. That was more than just poor practice. That felt intimate. Jerome ensured that each and every one of them received a refund, was decomped, and granted VIP status for their next visit, because that's how you manage a powerful domain. A gentle rap on the door, Stephen. His face was as pale as a ghost. "Mr. Wilson, I kindly request your attention as I was completely unaware." Jerome stood in the doorway, arms folded across. His chest. "That is the issue, Stephen. You were completely oblivious to the chaos unfolding in your own hotel. Stephen swallowed hard. I assure you, I can resolve this, sir. Jerome inclined his head. Kim has been let go. Indeed. Stephen nodded vigorously. As you requested, Jerome wore a smirk. All right, now gather your things. Stephen stood still. Excuse me? You understand what I'm saying? It's over for you. This place has decayed right before your eyes. It would have been better if you had taken care of it before I had to step in. Stephen's expression crumbled. However, Mr. Wilson, I must insist. Jerome gave him a hearty clap on the shoulder. Take it easy, Steve. I'm confident there's a motel out there that would truly appreciate your exceptional leadership abilities. Stephen reeled backward, at a loss for words. Jerome slammed the door, right in front of him. There will be no more opportunities, not within his realm. He filled a glass, reclined, and let out a deep breath. The hotel could be improved. The enterprise would be more robust. And the next time a front desk clerk believed they could get away with that nonsense, they would reconsider. Why now? Everyone was well aware of who he was.